people in the news. And one person who's making the news right now is the party leader of DAP-K, Eugene Wamalwa. The question is, he has refused to sign the NADCO report, and he has his own reasons. And we're also asking the question, which way AZIMIO? Mheshimiwa, welcome to Hot 96. Good to see you.
Thanks, Jeff. Good to see you too. It's been a while.
Yeah, how you doing?
I'm all right, thanks.
You look fit, man. You look like you're ready to run.
Asante. I'm headed to Nyanza for a recruitment drive on my party. Yes, we're starting off in Migori and heading to Kisii and Nyamira tomorrow. Thank you.
So politics is still in that blood. You're not vying away. You're not shying away.
Not at all. That's my business now.
I haven't heard you mention Siaya and its environs.
No, we're just doing the preliminary one. And we'll be in that region, but we'll be covering all the counties of Kenya. So Siaya, I was in Homa Bay recently with Kalonzo and Wairia, with Baba when we had the conference. And that's where I went to school, by the way. I was in Gendia High in Kendu Bay.
Kendu Bay?
Yes.
I was in Homa Bay as well a couple of weeks ago, huh? Remember?
Yes.
With Governor Gladys, Doing a good job.
You went for Gladys' conference.
Yeah, the conference.
It was a fantastic conference.
Really well attended.
Yes.
Well planned. So, you've refused to sign the National Dialogue Committee report. Why?
Jeff, I felt we did not do justice to the single most important issue which affects every Kenyan, and that's the cost of living. We had about 5 issues that we looked at. 3 of those issues were brought by Kenya Kwanza. And mainly they were the memoranda agenda issues. They were based on the memorandum that the Kenya Kwanza leader had already submitted to Parliament. And one was creation of the office of Prime Cabinet Secretary and entrenching it into law. The second one was creation of the office of the leader of official opposition with 2 deputies. And the third was the issue of the 2/3 gender, so that we have more women. And the proposal is to double the number from 1 to 2 women per county. And also the issue of CDF and NGCDF being entrenched into law, as well as creation of a ward fund. So all those were issues that were supported by the Kenya Kwanza team, and we started with those. We were able to quickly go through them. But our 2 main issues as AZIMIO were mainly the issue of cost of living and the issue of electoral justice. If you look at the map of Kenya after the election, you would see that the blue wave swept across, right from Lake Turkana all the way to the Indian Ocean, from the Indian Ocean all the way to Lake Victoria, Western Ukambani. So the old provinces, we had Raila winning in the 6 of the old provinces. William Ruto won in only 2 regions, that is the Rift Valley and the Central. So many Kenyans felt Raila had won this election. They wanted those servers open. He won the majority counties, the majority constituencies, the majority regions, 6 out of 8. And there was doubt because this was the smallest margin in the history of our presidential elections. It was a razor thin margin.
Yes.
And we wanted those servers open to find out the truth. But when we went to the streets, you knew what happened. The second issue was the issue of the cost of living. Everything went up. When our friends came in, they came up with something called bottom-up. And everything actually moved from the bottom upwards. They're talking of sugar, everything went bottom up.
That's what they actually meant from bottom up.
Yes, literally. Petrol, they doubled the VAT on fuel from 8% where Uhuru had left it, all the way to 16%. The first time a litre of petrol went to over 200 shillings. So these were matters we told them Kenyans are hurting. Can we sit and talk and see how you can reduce some of these levies? On fuel alone, you have about 16 levies and taxes. Apart from the VAT doubling to 16%, you have the road development levy, all those levies. They refused completely to remove any of those levies and taxes. And that is where some of us thought it was a deal breaker. Because if we're going to take care of all the interests of all the Waheshimiwas, from Mheshimiwa Mudavadi to become the Prime Minister, Mheshimiwa Raila or Kalonzo or Wamalwa to become the leader of opposition or deputies, we create more Waheshimiwa women reps, we create more money for the Waheshimiwa MPs and Waheshimiwa MCS, then we leave Wanjiku out. I felt we did not do justice to that issue. And that is why I dissented. Out of the 10, mine was the dissenting view. And that's why I didn't sign the report.
And you walked away.
Yes, I did. And I still feel the intention of our Kenya Kwanza people, why they refuse to reduce even any of those taxes, was because they intend to raise more taxes. They are going to be higher taxes. So they had a script that they hid from us. Their instructions were that cost of living, no goes on. Do not reduce taxes because we intend to increase taxes. And you can see the budget policy statement tabled when Parliament resumed in February. The trajectory is for increment of taxes. And you can see everything going up now. Even breakfast, many ordinary families. Uhuru had said, no, let's zero rate this. Let every Kenyan family be able to have some tea and bread in the morning basics. Of course, they will not have a lot bacon, sausage, but the basic breakfast. Now, even that is being taxed. We are saying we return the 16% VAT. So many families, I was watching this report yesterday, that many families are skipping meals. Now, the most essential meal when you have a young family is just that breakfast before the kid goes to school. So, did you wapi mkate? Wapi, you know, mkate kosekana ama take you and there's no blue band. The kid will not understand. Imagine that morning when that kid is forced to skip breakfast because you can't afford to bring bread and milk, basics. So these are some of the things that we saw the insensitivity of the Kenya Kwanza government to the suffering of the Kenyan people. And we said, no, we cannot give all to the big fellows, the political class, then leave Wanjiku out.
But how is it they don't see that once fuel goes up, it affects everything? Because now school fees has to go up.
Yes.
The cost of groceries goes up. So everything is affected.
I don't know if you guys watched news yesterday. The celebratory mood at the signing of the housing levy. This is the most oppressive tax every Kenyan with a payslip is going to feel. Now we have expanded it. In fact, the callousness with which they are treating this issue, they don't know how Kenyans are hurting. I had the Kenya Kwanza leader saying, oh, we thank the courts, we had left out some people, and now we have more people paying. You know, the callousness. Because now that is going to be expanded to even Kenyans who don't have payslips.
Yeah.
Already when you talk to many Kenyans, whether you are a teacher, whether you are a doctor, you can see the doctors on strike, whether you are a police officer, or, whatever discipline you are serving in, Kenyans are hurting. Many Kenyans are taking home less than 30% of their payslip. So when you take away from them, you add 1.5% housing levy, you deduct. Then you deduct again SHIF, 2.75%. And if you happen to come to Western, Jeff, we have more than 2 wives. Then you are in trouble because you pay double.
You're affected.
No. I mean, Western Nyanza, we're quite polygamous. So it means we're going to feel the pinch, the pain of Zakayo's taxes more because we'll be paying double. Yeah. So 1.5 housing, then 2.75% for one wife, 2.75 for the other one. You are paying 5.5 plus 1.5. Then if you are a farmer, they are now saying you must give at least 5%.
Yeah.
So if you're making 100 shillings now, Zakayo wants 5 shillings of every 100 shillings you are making. And that's why you are seeing the noise. In Muranga recently, we had these KRA fellows going. And people are talking about the avocados. Now people are coming to count how many avocados do you have and what are you making. We want 5 bob every 100 bob you're making. So it is quite, Kenyans can't breathe. And they've started making noise. You can see wherever the president is, there are noises and there are those who are threatening to arrest people. You cannot take away that basic right of freedom of expression. If you are suppressed, even in the Bible, we are told the donkey was really pressed. It fell down, and Balaam kept pressing it, and the donkey actually spoke to Balaam. I think the Kenyan donkey started speaking to Zakayo, and they're saying, we are, enough is enough. I think we are almost reaching that point.
Like you said, the signing ceremony yesterday there was a lot of pomp and circumstance.
Yes.
And the opposition is silent and mum and, visibly absent.
No, but Jeff, we haven't been silent. Why we went to Bomas was because Kenyans went to the streets. And the only unfortunate thing is that when we came to the real issues, because we didn't go to the streets to give Davadi a job or to give Wamalwa or Kalonzo or Raila jobs.
And his wife.
Yes, no, that is not why we went to the streets. We went to the streets because of bread and butter matters, and matters electoral justice. We know that one of the issues that might come out of, and this is why we are saying, okay, there was at least something we hang on to after they rejected the cost of living, the IEBC issue. It is critical for us to have a stable democracy. We must have institutions where Kenyans have faith in these institutions. So we are hoping that actually we get this IBC thing fixed. But the issue of cost of living, Jeff, it's just a phase. We started out in the streets. We have fought this thing in the courts. We have gone to Bomas to dialogue. But as long as this cost of living keeps eating up Kenyans, we as AZIMIO will continue fighting for them. So it's just the next phase of the struggle. We are transiting to that after these Bomas and the NADCO talks and the parliamentary legislative process. We have all options still open to us. And I want to assure the people of Kenya will still fight for them.
Kienda usijaribu kuchukua chama sasa. Chama ni nani Wamalwa? Sema nguvu.
No, Baba still remains our captain, and we don't want Kenyans to worry about AZIMIO falling apart or AZIMIO dying. Just like in a soccer match, when the captain leaves the pitch, he only hands over the captain's armband to another, and the match goes on. So we want to assure Kenyans the match will go on. We'll continue fighting, and we are a strong team. Raila was just the first amongst equals, and we have very high caliber leaders in AZIMIO. As you know, Raila was the second Prime Minister of Kenya. We have Kalonzo, who was the 10th Vice President of Kenya. We have Eugene Wamalwa here, who was the 10th Defense Minister, Minister for Devolution, Minister for Water, and Minister for Justice. We have Martha Karua, who was Minister for Justice. We have governors like Wairia, who did very well in Muranga. We have Governor Oparanya from former Governor Kakamega, Nderitu Mureithi from Laikipia. So we have no shortage of leadership in AZIMIO. We want to assure Kenyans, and we are just reorganizing our team. But we want to thank Kenyans for the support they have given Baba in his bid for the AU. And this has been across the political aisle. And we want to see this more, that when it comes to matters Kenya, we can put our differences aside. And we thank even those who are in Kenya Kwanza who have extended this support. And in the region, all the East African presidents are now supporting Baba. We wish him well. We are also happy with the change of tone. You know, those who are abusing Baba and saying, calling him Mzee wa vitendawili, huyu muganga. Now they are saying, like, Kimani Ichung'wah, Your Excellency, Raila Amolo Odinga. We are happy with the change of tone. And we are saying, those who demonize Raila, oh, huyu muganga, at if you greet him, sijui, you do it to your head. I heard Gachagua say you can end up kuvaa Riley kwa kichwa. But we saw Ruto also shake hands with Baba. So we don't know what's going to happen. But we want to tell our people in Kenya today that politics is a dirty game. All they wanted to do is soil the name of Raila, demonize him, particularly in the Mount Kenya region. But today we are saying, if the same people are saying Raila is the best for Africa, and if Raila is the best for Africa, then Raila is the best for East Africa, then Raila is the best for Kenya, then even he was best for Mount Kenya. It's just that our politics is a dirty game, and that's what we're doing. You see deep-rooted corruption in a system. It's not AZIMIO accusing them, they're accusing each other. And we have a lot to worry about because we have just been grey listed. And Jeff, for a country to be put on the shameful grey list of the world, it means it's a heaven of money laundering, the wash business, and not just the grey listing. The Americans the other day talked about Kenya being part of the money laundering racket that is actually financing terrorism. This is a serious issue. The people, Kenyan business people who have been listed as, money launderers for terrorism purposes. It's something that should worry every Kenyan. So it's not just an issue that we should be looking at raising more and more taxes. What is this money doing? And if it's just going to be subject to wasting unnecessary foreign trips, and money being looted left, right, and center, then Kenyans have every right to question.
And in the meantime, Calligraph Loans is he keeps applying for loans out there with the IMF and World Bank.
Yes. Do you know in a year they have borrowed more than Uhuru did in the same period? They're still borrowing. So it's just politics they were doing. Just like they've changed tone on Raila. They demonized Uhuru. They said, because of the handshake, he abandoned the big four. And, now we are saying, okay, they've also shaken Raila's hand. Let's see if Raila is a mganga or not.
You guys know each other from back in the day.
Yes.
When you meet off camera or, behind the scenes, what are they saying? What are they telling you? Or are they just laughing in your face and saying, we are in power for the next 10 years?
That's it. And they're saying there's nothing you can do about it. And they're thinking, actually, now that Raila is moving to Addis, no one can beat them. But we are telling them, watch this space.
Can anyone beat them?
Watch this space.
Okay. So, Kotu Secretary General Francis Atwoli once told me, only 4 people can fill Uhuru Park today. Former President Uhuru Kenyatta, President William Ruto, Baba, and Atwoli himself. Between you, Kalonzo, and the other lead, you cannot fill Uhuru Park.
It's not true that it's only Raila who can do that. We have a team. And we are going to build a stronger team that will ensure that come 2027, we send Zakayo home with his punitive taxes, including the housing levy tax.
Let me ask you, are you going to be the 6th? Are you planning to run for president in 2027?
I'm not planning. I've already made that declaration. And as I've said, I'm not just starting now. We started way back in 2012. And my 2 friends that we started this journey with, I remember we once went to Western and we received the blessing of the Luya elders. We were given 3 spears. Uhuru had 1, Ruto, myself. The first spear of Uhuru went into State House. The second one of Ruto is there now. Mine, I'm preparing for 2027. We are preparing and we're serious. As I've said now, we're going all over the country, strengthening our parties, strengthening our coalition in preparation for 2027. We'll be in Migori, we'll be in Kuria West, Kuria East, we will be in Nyamira tomorrow and Kisii, and we are going to rebuild this team.
So if you go into, you make it to president, what are the first things you're going to do?
I think my executive order number 1 would be to repeal this housing levy thing. It is oppressive.
Let me just give you my vote to go with it. Keep it safe.
Kenyans are not just speaking, but this thing is hurting a lot of Kenyans.
And yet
it should have been voluntary because, Jeff, look at it. Realistically, many Kenyans. I saw this guy, an elderly guy. I don't know if you saw him. He was trending sometime. An old man said, "Nani hana kwao." Nani hana kwao. Did you ever see that old man? He didn't look that intelligent, but he actually asked a very intelligent question. And he said, "Don't force me to build a house for someone else. Already, if I'm a teacher, I've taken out a mortgage. I've built my house, where I'm living. I'm still paying that mortgage. Then on top of that mortgage, you want me to pay a house for someone else, a house that I will not get?" So these are some of the things that are very, very oppressive, and some of the changes that will come. Of course, they will have their way for now, but a time will come when there will be a regime change and a change of policy.
Do these people, do they realize that it's pinching Kenyans where it really, really hurts? Do they realize this?
I think they are callous and insensitive to the feelings of Kenyans, because if you are saying, now that I've signed into law this housing levy, it's not for houses. He himself said this is not about building houses. Kenyans don't need this house. But it's about job creation. Now tell me today, Jeff, we have young doctors. Do you know how long it takes to train a doctor?
It's a long
6
time.
to 7 years. The investment we put into these young people. And here they are on the streets. You go to most of our hospitals across this country, in all the counties, they don't have enough doctors. We have a trained doctor, 6, 7 years, ready to go and serve, and you are keeping them here. Yet, you are saying, We are going to double the budget for the presidency. You know, when you look at the money going into State House, renovations day in, day out, every week they're changing things and increasing the budget for the vice president. Then you are saying you can't find 4 billion for these young doctors. But you look at the wastage this government is doing with the Kenyan money. Now people are asking, really, do you want to send our young people kwa Mujengo with wheelbarrows, na hiyo kaviro waende waanze, or we'll find some money and send these young people to our hospitals to treat Kenyans. Wanjiku wants a doctor in her hospital. She wants medicine in that hospital. But here you are saying, oh, we can't find money for these doctors, but we are going to find them jobs abroad. We are going to send drivers sijui where. We are going to send maids to United Arab Emirates. I mean, what kind of a country are we? Where are our priorities? Really, really? I think they said bottom up, but I think this is really upside down completely. If you ask
what Kenya Kwanzaa did, they sold hope, but now the reality is sinking in. You know,
we are hopeless.
Yes.
Well put. Well out.
2027 is not that far away. Can hope be restored?
Yes, it can. And what we're going to need is a new leadership that is a leadership of integrity. First of all, the kind of looting that is going on. Now, forget about the high taxes that they're put in place. What are they doing with that money? The looting that is going on in this government, the levels of corruption, to the extent that we have been grey listed. And God forbid, if nothing happens, we are likely to be blacklisted, actually. So what we'll need is a new team that has a clean record in public service. Kenyans must scrutinize the next crop of leaders. And you must look at this leader. Okay, Wamalwa, you have been a minister here for justice, minister for water, you have been a minister here, Kalonzo, you've been here. What is your public, if you have someone who has been implicated in every corruption scandal in this country, and you put that person in a position of leadership, you don't expect them to do anything different. They will just do what they were good at doing, right from the days of YK92. They were just doing deals. I was very surprised to hear the other day there was land that was preserved for the sewerage, and now we're being told because the right people are in the right places, decisions that had been made to fight corruption are being reversed. Those who had corruption cases have all been cleared. And not just cleared, they have been reappointed. What do you expect these people to do? They'll do what they did before. But now, because one of their own can protect them, they will do it with impunity. So this is where we want to look at as we go into 2027. Now, we must, as we go into 2027, return Kenya to being an upright nation. I was listening to one of my friends, I think it was Mutai Kagwe, who was saying, you know, in Mount Kenya, when you name a child, I think there are 3 things you pray for. To be a warrior, that is Jaba. To be a leader, that is Mutongoria. Then to be wealthy, is it?
Yes.
Huyo anaitwa nani? So naona Wakikuyu fake hapo huyu.
Wanaitwa Yimbo in Sheng. Yimbo.
So basically the argument was we have turned Kenya truly into a hustler nation. We're hustling everybody for anything we can, from the Mamamboga to the border. Because when you're raising petrol, doubling VAT on petrol, and there are those who are arguing that, oh, now petrol has started going down, the right policies are in place. It's not true. The taxes are still high. When we went to the election, by the way, I don't know if you guys recall, petrol was about 159 shillings per litre.
Yes.
The dollar was 120 shillings. Now, petrol is 199, and our friends are already celebrating. There's still a huge gap there. The dollar is 130 something. But we are saying, if they were just to reduce that VAT on fuel alone back to 8%, that can bring down the cost substantially back to the 160s area, where Kenyans can breathe. That border will make a saving with every liter. There will be money in their pockets. These guys were just saying pesa mfukoni. Kina hawakusema mfuko wa nani? Sio mfuko wa boda ama mama mboga, ni mfuko wa Zakayo. That is what they meant. Unfortunately, this is what people are realizing now. But we are saying a day is coming when we have to get the right government in place that will reverse most of these policies and put us back to that trajectory where we were with Kibaki.
With all the frustrations of being in the opposition, there are those rogue MPs in the opposition, in AZIMIO,
Yes.
who have decided, you know what, hey, kwa ground ni kubaya.
Yes.
And they have opted to go the other side. Isn't that frustrating?
It is very frustrating because, as I said, the will of the Kenyan people was that the majority of the counties supported AZIMIO. The majority of the sub-counties, which are constituencies, supported AZIMIO. And you can find that the majority of the region, 6 out of 8, supported AZIMIO. And the same goes to even the IEBC. The majority of the commissioners did not accept the results. The results were given by a minority, which makes William Ruto a minority president, from the minority counties to the constituencies, to the regions, up to the commission itself. It was split into two. The majority were not with him. And at Bomas, they spoke to us. A year later, they said they still do not own those results. So that issue is still a very serious issue that we, even as we look at the reforms of IEBC, we must address the real issues facing the nation. And the first thing he did was to buy members of parliament, transferring them from the AZIMIO side to the Kenya Kwanza side, to create an artificial majority. Now, it is this artificial majority that he has used to force things down the throats of Kenyans, including the housing levy. Kenyans went to court, they opposed it, he still passed it. Including the Haiti issue. Haiti, I mean, everybody's saying, what's wrong with Kenya? Why can't the Americans send America is very close to Haiti, as you know. We are over 12,000 kilometers away. Why are we sending our officers all that way? Is it because of the dollars? Can we sacrifice the blood of our fellow Kenyans for just the greenbacks? If the Prime Minister or so-called Prime Minister who came here signed a document with us, a very dubious agreement whose legality is questionable, could not land back home with that agreement of his, and he was deposed. He was told by Haitians, we don't recognize you and your agreement, you can go to hell. And the guy actually resigned. And here we are, still basing our decision on a dubious agreement, sending our young people into harm's way to be sacrificed, to be killed by these gangs there. What is in it for us? Is it our national interest or are they commercial interests? These are some of the issues. But because he had already gotten captured parliament, he's been able to push through these things, and many other unpopular things are coming. Watch this space, Jeff. From the budget policy statement, if we are crying about the finance bill 2023, now finance bill 2024 is the mother of all finance bills in terms of the taxes that are coming. They are going to raise taxes on anything and on everything. So we have a war ahead of us that we are prepared as AZIMIO to continue fighting for Kenyans, and we want them to know that though our captain might be leaving the pitch for a while to go to Addis, AZIMIO remains intact. AZIMIO remains more resolved to fight for Kenyans than ever before.